The stars looked different in the Helios border zone. At least, that was what the younger officers on Admiral Velthar's flagship always said. The space here twisted light in strange ways, making distant suns shimmer like water. But Velthar did not care about stars today. He cared about the small dot on his screen that refused to move. 47 ships spread across the darkness, all of them under his command. The Kryn Dominion fleet moved through space like a swarm of metal insects, each vessel humming with power and weapons. For 20 years, Velthar had led conquests across the Outer Rim. 7 different alien species now called the Kryn their masters. Today should have been no different. The target sat alone in the black void. Sensors said it was big, but sensors often lied this far from civilized space. Velthar's tactical officers reported it was likely a colony transport or perhaps a mining vessel. The humans who owned it were new to space. Very new. Intelligence reports described them as primitive, barely capable of faster-than-light travel. Their worlds were few, and their technology simple. "Move closer," Velthar ordered. His voice carried the clicking sounds of his species, translated instantly by computers into words his crew understood. "Surround the vessel. Standard intimidation. Formation." The fleet obeyed. 47 warships formed a sphere around the lone human ship. Each Kryn vessel gleamed with fresh paint and polished metal. They carried plasma cannons, missile pods, and energy shields. They looked deadly because they were deadly. Most species surrendered the moment they saw the Kryn fleet. Those who did not surrender died quickly. Velthar watched his screens as the distance closed. 5,000 kilometers. 4,000. 3,000. The human ship still had not moved. It had not sent messages. It had not powered weapons or raised shields. It simply floated in space, like a dead thing. "Perhaps they abandoned it," suggested Thexal, the tactical officer. He was young for his rank, with bright green eyes that shone in the dim light of the bridge. "Maybe they saw us coming and fled in escape pods." "Then where are the pods?" Velthar asked. "Scan again. Full power this time." The scanning beam reached out across the void, invisible but powerful. It touched the human ship and bounced back, feeding information into the Kryn computers. Numbers appeared on screens. Measurements, energy readings, mass calculations. Thexal went very still. His green eyes grew wider. "Admiral," he said slowly, "I think our sensors made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "The size, the mass, the power output." Thexal's hands moved over his controls, checking the numbers again and again. "Admiral, this is not a colony ship." Velthar felt something cold move through his chest. "Then what is it?" "I do not know. But it is big, very big. 2,000 kilometers now. Close enough to see the ship with cameras instead of just sensors." Velthar switched his main screen to visual display. The image appeared, fuzzy at first, then growing clearer as the computers focused. The bridge went silent. The human ship filled the screen. It was enormous. Velthar had commanded fleets for 2 decades. He had seen carrier vessels that could hold 1,000 small fighters. He had seen cargo ships 3 kilometers long. He had seen battleships designed to destroy planets. But he had never seen anything like this. The ship was dark, gray, almost black in places. Its hull stretched out like a mountain floating in space. The front was wide and flat, covered in strange markings that might have been writing or perhaps battle honors. The sides bristled with structures that could only be weapons. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The back section glowed with the blue light of massive engines, currently running at low power. "Give me measurements," Velthar demanded. Thexal's voice shook slightly. "Length, 9.2 kilometers. Width, 3.1 kilometers. Height, 1.8 kilometers. Mass," he paused. "Mass equivalent to 15 of our heavy carriers. 15 carriers." Velthar commanded 3 carriers in his fleet, and each one required 2,000 crew members. This single human ship massed as much as 5 entire Kryn fleets combined. The energy signature, another officer reported. Admiral, the power output from their reactor matches half our fleet's total output. From one ship. Velthar studied the image. As his cameras focused better, he saw details that made his blood run colder. The human ship was covered in scars. Long gouges ran across the hull where something had burned through armor. Sections of the ship looked newer than others, as if they had been replaced after being destroyed. Blast marks dotted the surface, like spots on an animal's hide. This ship had been in battles, many battles, and it had survived them all. Look at this section, Thexal said, pointing to a part of the display. This area was completely rebuilt. You can see where new metal was welded over old damage. And here, at least 30% of this ship has been repaired after major damage. But it still flies, Velthar said quietly. It still fights. A communications officer spoke up. Admiral, should we send a message? They have not responded to our presence. Velthar did not answer immediately. He studied the human warship. That was what it was, clearly. Not a colony ship. Not a transport. A warship. A vessel designed and built for one purpose: combat. The humans had put their best technology into this machine. Their best materials. Their best weapons. And judging by the repairs, they had used it many times. All ships, hold position, Velthar ordered. Do not advance. Do not power weapons. Sir? Thexal looked confused. We have 47 ships. They have one. They have one ship that masses as much as 15 carriers, Velthar corrected. They have one ship with power output equal to half our fleet. They have one ship that has survived enough battles to destroy it 5 times over, yet it still operates. The fleet stopped moving. 47 Kryn vessels hung in space, maintaining a cautious distance from the human warship. For the first time in 20 years, Admiral Velthar felt uncertain. The humans were supposed to be weak, primitive, easy prey. But this ship was none of those things. What do we do, Admiral? Velthar did not answer. He simply stared at the scarred, massive, waiting warship on his screen. The humans inside that vessel knew the Kryn were here. They had to know. Yet, they did not run. They did not call for help. They did not surrender. They simply waited. And somehow, that was more frightening than any weapon could be. Inside the human warship, Captain Dae-sung sat in his command chair and watched the alien fleet with calm eyes. The bridge around him hummed with quiet efficiency. Officers monitored their stations. Screens displayed information in soft blue light. The air smelled of recycled oxygen and coffee, which someone had brewed 3 hours ago. 47 vessels confirmed, Lieutenant Haina reported from her tactical station. She was young but skilled, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. They are maintaining formation at 2,000 kilometers. No weapons charged yet. Dae-sung nodded. He had commanded the Indomitable for 6 years. He had fought pirates in the outer colonies. He had destroyed 3 rebel battleships near Europa. He had held the line at the Battle of Titan's Gate when 14 enemy cruisers tried to break through to Earth. His ship bore the scars of every fight, and so did he, though his scars were on the inside where nobody could see them. Ship status? He asked. All systems normal, Commander Junwoo answered from engineering. His voice came through the speakers, slightly distorted by static. Reactor at 30% power. All weapon systems ready. Armor integrity at full. We took some damage last month near Proxima, but repairs are complete. Communications? Lieutenant Myung looked up from her station. She was older than most officers on the bridge, with gray streaks in her hair and a calm voice. They tried to scan us 15 minutes ago, sir. Full power scan. We let them see everything. Dae-sung smiled slightly. Good. What did they learn? That we are much bigger than they expected. That we have more weapons than they can count. That we have been in many fights. Myung paused. Sir, should I send a message? Wait. Dae-sung said. Let them think first. End quote. End quote. End quote. End quote. On the main screen, the alien ships waited. They were smaller than the Indomitable, but there were many of them. Dae-sung had fought against numbers before. Numbers did not frighten him. What mattered was not how many ships the enemy had, but whether they knew how to use them. These aliens had surrounded his ship. That was their first mistake. You did not surround an enemy unless you were certain you could destroy them. These aliens were not certain. If they were certain, they would have attacked already. Lieutenant Haina, Dae-sung said. Analyze their formation. Tell me what you see. Hana's fingers moved across her controls. Standard intimidation pattern, sir. Ships spread evenly in a sphere. Maximum visual impact. Designed to make the target feel trapped. Weapons positioning? Poor, sir. Only about 60% of their ships have clear firing lines. The others would have to reposition before shooting. They are thinking about appearance, not combat effectiveness. Dae-sung nodded again. That told him everything he needed to know. These aliens won battles through fear, not through skill. They showed up with many ships and expected enemies to surrender. It probably worked most of the time. But not today. Send the message now, he told Myung. Myung typed on her keyboard. Standard first contact protocol? No, simple and direct. Dae-sung thought for a moment. Tell them. You are in human protected space. State your intentions. The message went out through the darkness, traveling at the speed of light across the 2,000 kilometers between the ships. Dae-sung imagined the aliens receiving it, reading it, trying to understand what kind of species sent such a blunt message to a fleet of 47 warships. Response coming in, Myung said after a few minutes. Audio and visual. Translating now. The main screen changed. An alien face appeared, insectoid and strange, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. The computer's translation made the alien's voice sound calm and friendly. Greetings, human vessel. I am Admiral Velthar of the Kryn Dominion. We mean no harm. We are explorers, traveling through this region. We did not know these stars belonged to anyone. Dae-sung studied the alien's face. The translation was good, but it could not hide body language. The alien's eyes moved rapidly, a sign of stress or fear. Its mandibles twitched. This Admiral Velthar was nervous. They are lying, Hana said quietly. Watch their ship movements. Dae-sung was already watching. On the tactical display, several alien ships had begun to drift, slowly and carefully, adjusting their positions. They were trying to create better firing angles while pretending to hold still. It was subtle, but it was there. They are testing us, Commander Junwoo said through the speakers. Seeing if we notice. Seeing if we care. Oh, we notice, Dae-sung said. Lieutenant Myung, no response yet. Minutes passed. The alien ships continued their slow repositioning. 12 ships had now shifted to create overlapping fields of fire. If they attacked, those 12 could concentrate their weapons on the Indomitable's most vulnerable sections. It was actually a smart tactic, if you did not know what the Indomitable could do. Enough, Dae-sung said. Activate external lights. All of them. Sir? Myung looked surprised. All lights. I want them to see us clearly. Hana smiled. She understood. Yes, sir. Lights blazed to life across the Indomitable's hull. Thousands of them. Built into the armor for exactly this purpose. The entire ship lit up like a city at night. Every detail became visible. Every weapon port. Every missile bay. Every railgun emplacement. Every scar from every battle. The repair marks showed clearly now. Sections where armor had been melted by plasma weapons and then replaced. Areas where the hull had been torn open by missiles and then welded shut. Scorch marks from energy beams. Impact craters from mass drivers. The Indomitable had fought in at least 30 major battles, and its skin told the story of every one. But more importantly, the lights revealed the weapons. So many weapons. The Indomitable carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Torpedo tubes lined the forward section. Missile pods clustered along the sides. Railguns protruded from armored turrets. Laser batteries covered every angle. Point defense cannons bristled like hair on an animal's back. Their movement stopped, Hana reported. All ships. They have gone completely still. Dae-sung watched his screens. The alien fleet had frozen in place. Whatever they had been planning, they were reconsidering now. Good. Sometimes the best weapon was the one you did not have to fire. Analysis of their ships, Dae-sung said. Commander Junwoo, what do you see? Junwoo had been studying the alien vessels since they arrived. His voice came through thoughtful and careful. They are not dedicated warships, sir. They are exploration vessels, with weapons added later. Look at the design. Efficient engines, large cargo bays, comfortable crew quarters. These ships were built for long voyages, not combat. Can they fight? Yes, but not well. Their weapons are adequate for pirates or weak enemies. Against us? Junwoo paused. Sir, our point defense grid alone could probably handle their entire fleet. Hana checked her calculations. Confirmed, sir. We have 3,247 point defense cannons. Each one can track and destroy incoming missiles or strike small ships. If they attack, we could target every ship in their fleet simultaneously and still have guns left over. Dae-sung stood up from his chair. He walked to the main screen and looked at the alien fleet. 47 ships. Hundreds or maybe thousands of crew members. Young officers and old veterans. People with families back home, waiting for them to return safely. He did not want to kill them. But he would if they forced him to. That was what the Indomitable was built for. That was what humanity was good at. Humans had been fighting wars for 10,000 years. They had learned every possible way to kill, destroy, and survive. Other species explored the stars. Humans brought their wars with them. Activate targeting systems, Dae-sung ordered. Yes, sir. Invisible targeting lasers reached out from the Indomitable, touching each alien ship with gentle electronic fingers. The aliens would detect them immediately. They would know they had been locked on. They would know the human warship could fire at any second. Sir, Myung said. Should I send another message? Dae-sung thought about it. Then he shook his head. No. They can see us now. They can see what we are. Let them decide what to do next. The bridge fell quiet again. Officers watched their screens. The Indomitable waited, patient and ready. Somewhere on the alien flagship, Admiral Velthar was making a choice. Attack or retreat, fight or flee. Dae-sung hoped the alien would choose wisely. He was tired of fighting. But if fighting was necessary, he would not hesitate. That was what it meant to be human. That was what it meant to command a ship like the Indomitable. They had survived everything the universe threw at them. They would survive this too. Science Officer Krell sat in his small laboratory aboard the Kryn flagship, staring at his computer screen. He was supposed to be analyzing mineral samples from the last planet they had visited. Instead, he was researching humans. The database entry was short. Barely 3 pages. The Kryn had not considered humans important enough to study carefully. That was clearly a mistake. Krell read through the basic information again. Humans came from a planet called Earth. They had reached space travel only 200 years ago. Their technology was adequate but not exceptional. Their population numbered about 40 billion across 12 colony worlds. They had a central government called the Terran Defense Force that controlled military operations, all very ordinary. Except for the ship currently sitting 2,000 kilometers away. Krell adjusted his multifaceted eyes and looked deeper into the database. There had to be more information somewhere. He searched for military history. The computer thought for several seconds, then displayed new files. These were older, collected by Kryn scouts, who had observed human space from a distance years ago. What Krell saw made him go very still. Human military history stretched back thousands of years. The database showed wars and battles from every period of their civilization. Small tribal conflicts between early humans. Massive wars between nation-states. World wars that killed millions. Colonial struggles across their home planet. Civil wars. Religious wars. Wars over resources, territory, ideas, and pride. Humans had been fighting themselves for their entire existence. Krell read about something called World War II. It had lasted 6 years and killed nearly 100 million humans. 100 million. That was more than the total population of 3 Kryn colonies combined. And humans had done this to themselves, not to alien invaders. He read about wars that lasted decades. Wars fought with primitive weapons, like swords and arrows. Wars fought with chemical weapons and nuclear bombs. Humans had invented every possible way to kill each other, and they had used all of them, repeatedly. They are insane, Krell whispered to himself, but then he kept reading and found something else. Humans did not just make war. They studied it. They wrote books about it. They built schools to teach it. They had something called military academies, where young humans learned tactics, strategy, logistics, and leadership. War was not just something humans did. It was something they thought about carefully and improved over time. Krell found references to human military philosophers. People named Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, Napoleon, and dozens of others. These humans had written detailed analyses of how to win battles. Their ideas had been studied for centuries. Modern human officers still read books written thousands of years ago. The Kryn had never done anything like that. The Kryn won through superior numbers and technology. They intimidated enemies into surrender. When they had to fight, they relied on standard tactics that worked against weaker species. They had never needed to become experts at warfare, because warfare was rare for them. For humans, warfare was normal. Krell searched for information about human ships. He found technical specifications that made him blink in surprise. Human vessels were built with redundant systems. If one reactor failed, another could take over. If the bridge was destroyed, there were backup command centers deep inside the ship. If the hull was breached, automatic systems sealed the damage. Human ships were designed to keep fighting even when severely damaged. Like the Indomitable. That ship outside had been in enough battles to destroy it several times. But it was still here. Still operational. Still dangerous. Krell realized something important. When most species developed space travel, they built ships for exploration, trade, and colonization. War was an afterthought, something they prepared for reluctantly. Humans did the opposite. They built military ships first and adapted them for peaceful purposes later. Their early space stations had been designed as military bases. Their first colony ships had carried weapons. Their exploration vessels doubled as patrol craft. Everything humans built had military applications because humans thought about war constantly. It was not that humans were more aggressive than other species. It was that they were more experienced. 10,000 years of continuous warfare had taught them lessons other species never learned. They understood logistics, tactics, strategy, psychology, and technology in ways the Kryn could not match. Krell heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Admiral Velthar entering the laboratory. The Admiral looked tired, his green eyes dim with stress. "Science Officer Krell," Velthar said formally. "I need information about the humans. Everything you can find." "I have been researching them, Admiral." Krell gestured to his screen. "The information is disturbing. Show me." Krell displayed a summary of human military history. Wars, battles, weapons, casualties. The numbers scrolled past in long columns. Velthar watched in silence, his mandibles clicking softly. They fight constantly, Velthar said finally. They did, Admiral. Past tense. In the last 200 years, since reaching space, humans have fought less. Only a dozen major conflicts. They have learned to cooperate better. Only a dozen? In 200 years? Velthar made a sound that might have been laughter or despair. The Kryn have fought 3 conflicts in that time, and we considered that excessive. Krell pulled up another file. Admiral, I found something else. Human military academies. Look at their training programs. The screen showed course listings from the Terran Naval Academy. Strategy, tactics, naval warfare, ground combat, logistics, intelligence, cyber warfare, psychological operations, engineering. The list went on for pages. Human officers train for 4 years before they can command ships, Krell explained. They study history, mathematics, physics, and warfare. They run simulations. They practice on training vessels. By the time a human becomes a captain, they have spent thousands of hours learning how to fight. Velthar was quiet for a long moment. How long did you train to become science officer? 2 years, Admiral. How long did I train to become Admiral? 3 years. Velthar clicked his mandibles again. And we thought ourselves superior. Krell displayed another file. Admiral, there is more. Human ship design philosophy. Look at this comparison. The screen split in 2. On one side, a Kryn cruiser. On the other, a human destroyer that was roughly the same size. Krell highlighted key differences. Our ships prioritize efficiency and comfort, he said. Large crew quarters, recreational facilities, efficient engines. We build ships for long voyages of exploration. And humans? Armor, weapons, and redundancy. Human ships have smaller crew quarters, fewer comforts, and more internal reinforcement. They sacrifice comfort for survivability. A human ship can lose half its hull and still function. Velthar studied the comparison. They expect to be damaged. They plan for it, Admiral. Every human warship is designed with the assumption that it will be shot at, hit, and damaged. So they build in backups for every critical system. Krell pulled up an image of the Indomitable taken by their external cameras. He zoomed in on the repair marks. Look at these scars, Admiral. This damage here. Along the port side. That was probably a plasma weapon strike that burned through 15 meters of armor. Melted it completely. The humans cut out the damaged section and welded in new armor plates. He pointed to another area. This section near the engines. See how the metal is a different color? The entire back third of this ship was rebuilt after being destroyed. Whatever battle did that should have killed the ship. But humans do not build ships that die easily. Velthar moved closer to the screen. How many battles has that ship survived? Krell checked his calculations. Based on the visible damage and repairs, at least 30 major engagements. Possibly more. Some damage might have been repaired so well, we cannot see it. 30 battles. Velthar said it like a curse. Krell. Our flagship is only 8 years old. It has never been in a real battle. Most of our fleet has never fired weapons at anything, except pirates. Yes, Admiral. That human ship has survived 30 battles. Its captain knows things we do not know. Its crew has experience we do not have. They have seen weapons we have never faced. They have dealt with situations we cannot imagine. Krell nodded slowly. Admiral, I found a human quote in the database. It was written by one of their military philosophers. I think you should read it. He displayed the text on screen. The translation was slightly awkward, but the meaning was clear. We learned war before we learned peace. We mastered death before we understood life. We became experts at destruction before we discovered creation. This is our burden and our strength. We did not choose this path, but we walked it for 10,000 years. We cannot forget what we learned. Even now, when we try to build something better. Velthar read it twice. Then he looked at Krell. What kind of species says such things? Krell met his admiral's eyes. The kind that survives, Admiral. The kind that builds ships like the Indomitable. The kind we should not fight, unless we have no other choice. Velthar stood in silence, staring at the image of the human warship on the screen. After a long moment, he spoke quietly. Thank you, Science Officer. Send all this information to my personal terminal. I need to think about what to do next. Yes, Admiral. Velthar left the laboratory. Krell turned back to his computer and continued reading about humans. The more he learned, the more he understood one simple truth. The Kryn had made a terrible mistake coming here. They had surrounded a ship they could not defeat, crewed by species they did not understand, and now they had to find a way out before the humans decided to teach them a lesson. Deep in the Indomitable's reactor core, Engineer Young Ho checked pressure readings and temperature levels. Everything looked normal. The main reactor ran at 30% power, which was plenty for basic operations. If they needed to fight, he could bring it up to 90% in less than 3 minutes. 100% if the captain ordered maximum power, though that would stress the systems. Young Ho had worked on the Indomitable for 4 years. He knew every pipe, every valve, every backup system in this massive ship. When plasma fire had nearly destroyed the reactor during the Battle of Titan's Gate, Young Ho had kept it running with emergency repairs, while explosions shook the hull around him. He had earned 3 medals and a promotion that day. He rarely thought about the medals, but he remembered the fear, the heat, and the desperate work to keep his ship alive. His communicator beeped. Young Ho, this is Commander Junwoo. The aliens are scanning us again. Let me check. Young Ho pulled up the monitoring system. Sure enough, scanning beams were touching the ship's hull, trying to see inside. They are looking at our reactor, Commander. Can they see anything useful? Only what we let them see. The radiation shielding blocks most details, but they can measure total power output. And what will they learn from that? Young Ho smiled. That we could power a small city with just our backup reactor. The main reactor puts out enough energy to run 3 ships this size. Junwoo laughed. Good. Let them see that. Maybe it will make them think twice about attacking. The scanning continued for several minutes. Young Ho watched the alien beams probe different parts of the ship. They seemed particularly interested in the reactor and the weapons systems. Smart. Those were the most important parts of any warship. Then the aliens tried something new. Their scanners focused on the damaged sections of the hull, the places where repairs were visible. They were studying the old battle damage, trying to understand what had hit the Indomitable and how it had survived. Young Ho pulled up maintenance records. Commander, they are scanning the repair sites. Should I send you the damage reports from those battles? Yes. Send everything. I want to know what they are seeing. Young Ho transmitted the files. Each one contained details of old battles. Dates, locations, enemy types, weapons used, damage sustained, casualties, and repairs required. The Indomitable had a long history, and it was not a gentle one. Battle of Proxima Station. Hit by 17 missiles, hull breach in 3 locations, 42 crew members killed. 4 weeks of repairs required. Europa defense action. Struck by mass driver rounds. Armor penetrated. Reactor cooling system damaged. 2 months of repairs required. Titan's Gate engagement. Plasma fire melted through portside armor. Main reactor nearly destroyed. Entire engineering section evacuated. 6 months of repairs required. The list went on. 31 major battles in 6 years. The Indomitable had earned its scars. Commander, Young Ho said into his communicator, they must be wondering why we keep repairing the same ship instead of building new ones. Why do we? Junwoo asked. I mean, I know why. But explain it like you would to an alien. Young Ho thought about it. Because the Indomitable is proven. This ship has survived everything. We know exactly what it can do and what it cannot do. We know its limits. A new ship would be untested. Maybe better in theory. But theory means nothing in combat. Experience matters more than perfection. That is a very human way of thinking. Is there any other way? Up on the bridge, Captain Dae-sung received updates from Commander Jun-woo about the alien scanning attempts. He listened carefully, then called for his diplomatic officer. Diplomatic officer Eun-ji arrived on the bridge 3 minutes later. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She had handled first contact situations 7 times in her career. 3 had ended peacefully. 3 had ended in combat. 1 had ended in something between peace and war. An uneasy standoff that lasted 6 months, until both sides agreed to leave each other alone. "Captain," she said, bowing slightly. "You need my expertise?" "Yes. These aliens have been scanning us for hours. They know we are powerful, but they are still here. They have not attacked, but they have not left." "What does that tell you?" Eun-ji studied the tactical display showing the alien fleet positions. "They are uncertain. They came here expecting an easy victory. Now they do not know what to do. They are gathering information, trying to decide if they can win a fight. Can they win? No." Eun-ji said it with absolute confidence. "Lieutenant Hana's analysis is correct. We could destroy their entire fleet. The only question is how much damage they could do to us before dying. And if they realize they cannot win, then they have 2 choices. Retreat with dignity, or attack anyway, to save face. Some species would rather die fighting than admit they made a mistake." Dae-sung nodded slowly. "I do not want to kill them. They made an error by coming here, but that is not a crime that deserves death. How do we give them a way to retreat without losing honor?" Eun-ji considered the problem. "We need to give them information, Captain. Right now they only know we are big and powerful. They do not know why. If we explain our history, our context, they might understand they made an honest mistake. They judged us by our size, not by our experience." "What kind of information?" "Our military history, our ship design philosophy, the truth about human civilization. Show them we are not trying to intimidate them. We are simply being ourselves. And ourselves happens to be very good at warfare." Dae-sung thought about this. It was risky. Sharing military information with potential enemies could be dangerous. But Eun-ji was right. The aliens needed context. They needed to understand what they were facing. "Prepare a data package," he ordered. Nothing classified. Basic history. Nothing more. Include information about human warfare through the centuries. Include examples of our ships and why we designed them this way. Make it educational, not threatening. "Yes, sir." Eun-ji went to work at a nearby console. Lieutenant Hana spoke up from her station. "Captain, I am detecting small movements in the alien fleet. Several ships are repositioning again." "Aggressive positioning?" "No, sir. They are spreading out, creating more distance between each other." "Defensive positioning." That was interesting. The aliens were becoming more cautious, not more aggressive. They were learning. "Commander Jun-woo," Dae-sung said into his communicator, "what else can our scanners tell us about the alien ships?" Jun-woo's voice came back thoughtful. "They are well maintained, Captain. Clean energy signatures, efficient engines, properly calibrated weapons. These are professional vessels, not pirate ships. But they are not dedicated warships. Look at the hull designs. Too much window space, too many external antenna and sensor arrays that could be damaged in combat. These ships were built for exploration and retrofitted for military use. So they are explorers, pretending to be conquerors." "Yes, sir. And they probably thought we were colonists pretending to be warriors. They got it backwards." Dae-sung allowed himself a small smile. He understood these aliens now. They had built a coalition by showing up with many ships and demanding submission. Most species surrendered without fighting. The aliens had never faced serious military resistance. They did not know how to fight against someone who fought back with skill and experience. "Captain," Yunji said, "the data package is ready. Should I transmit it?" "Yes." "Send it to their flagship. Make it clear, this is educational information, freely given. We are not threatening them. We are helping them understand." The transmission went out. Dae-sung imagined it arriving on the alien flagship, being translated and analyzed. He imagined alien officers reading about human history for the first time, learning about World War I, where humans fought in trenches for 4 years, learning about World War II, where entire cities were destroyed, learning about the Cold Wars, the colonial conflicts, the civil wars, all of it. Would they understand? Would they realize that humans were not naturally aggressive, just naturally experienced? Would they see that the Indomitable was not meant to threaten them, but was simply what humans built when they needed to protect themselves? "Lieutenant Myung," Dae-sung said, "prepare another message. I want to speak directly to their commander." What should the message say? Dae-sung thought carefully about his words. This moment was important. What he said next could determine whether hundreds of people lived or died today. "Tell them this. I am Captain Dae-sung of the Terran Defense Force Warship Indomitable. We have detected your fleet and identified your vessels. We have prepared an information package about human civilization and shared it with you freely. We hope this helps you understand who we are and why we build ships like this one. We do not seek conflict, but we are prepared for it. We ask that you respect human space and depart peacefully. If you choose to stay, we will consider it a hostile act." Myung typed quickly. "Message ready, sir." Like sendent. Myung typed quickly. "Message ready, sir." Send it. The bridge grew quiet. Everyone understood this was the critical moment. The aliens would read the message and the data package. They would discuss it. They would argue. And then they would make a choice. Attack or retreat. Fight or flee. Death or life. Dae-sung sat in his command chair and waited. He had done everything he could. The rest was up to the aliens. He hoped they would choose wisely. He hoped they would understand. But if they chose poorly, the Indomitable was ready. It had survived 30 battles. It could survive one more. Admiral Velthar stood in his command center, surrounded by his senior officers. On the main screen, the human data package displayed information that made his blood feel cold. Images of ancient human battles, statistics about wars that lasted years or decades, technical specifications of weapons designed to destroy entire cities. Commander Thexal spoke quietly. "Admiral, they sent this willingly. They want us to know their history." "Why would they do that?" another officer asked. "Why show us their capabilities?" Velthar understood. "They are not showing us their capabilities. They are giving us context. They want us to understand that we made a mistake, that we judged them incorrectly. They are not showing us their capability. They are not showing us their capabilities." The data package continued playing. Images of old Earth warships from centuries ago. Metal vessels floating on water, covered in guns. Then, aircraft, metal machines that flew through air and dropped bombs. Then, spacecraft, first primitive and clumsy, then sleek and deadly. Human military technology had evolved continuously for thousands of years, each generation learning from the previous one. Science Officer Krell appeared on a communication screen. "Admiral, I have reviewed the data package. It confirms everything I found in our database, but with much more detail. These humans have been fighting wars since before they had written language. And now? Now, they have brought that experience into space. Every human ship design incorporates lessons from 10,000 years of warfare. The Indomitable is not just a warship. It is the accumulated knowledge of an entire civilization that specialized in combat." A young officer, barely past training age, spoke up nervously. "Admiral, we still outnumber them 47 to 1. Our combined firepower must count for something. Velthar looked at the young officer with tired eyes. Thexel, show him the tactical analysis. Thexel brought up new calculations on the secondary screens. If we attack, our best strategy would be a coordinated strike from all ships simultaneously. Maximum firepower, all at once, hoping to overwhelm their defenses. And would it work? The young officer asked. Unknown. But look at these numbers. The human ship has 3,000 point defense weapons. They can track and destroy 3,000 individual targets at the same time. We have 47 ships. Even if each of our ships fired 10 missiles, that is only 470 missiles total. They could destroy all of them and still have defensive capacity left over. The young officer went quiet. Thexal continued. And that is only their defensive capability. For offense, they have weapons we do not fully understand. Their railguns can fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Their missiles carry warheads powerful enough to crack planet surfaces. Their energy weapons can burn through our best armor in seconds. But we have shields. Another officer protested. Yes. And their data package includes information about shield technology. They have been using shields for 150 years. They know every weakness, every vulnerability. They know exactly how to overcome them. Velthar listened to his officers' debate. Some wanted to attack. Some wanted to retreat. Some wanted to negotiate. Everyone had opinions. But nobody had certainty. That was the problem. In every previous conquest, the Kryn had been certain of victory. Here, there was only doubt. A new message arrived from the human ship. Velthar ordered it displayed on the main screen. Captain Daesung's face appeared. He looked human, which was strange to Velthar's eyes. Only 2 eyes instead of many. Smooth skin instead of an exoskeleton. But his expression was easy to read even across species barriers. Calm, professional, confident. The human captain spoke in his own language, translated instantly by computers. I am Captain Daesung of the Terran Defense Force warship Indomitable. We have detected your fleet and identified your vessels. We have prepared an information package about human civilization and shared it with you freely. We hope this helps you understand who we are and why we build ships like this one. We do not seek conflict, but we are prepared for it. We ask that you respect human space and depart peacefully. If you choose to stay, we will consider it a hostile act. The message ended. Velthar's officers erupted in discussion. This is a threat. No. It is a warning. He says they are prepared for conflict. That means they want to fight. He said they do not seek conflict. Listen to the whole message. Velthar raised a manipulator appendage for silence. His officers quieted immediately. What I hear, Velthar said slowly, is honesty. This human captain is giving us a choice. He is making the situation clear. We can leave peacefully, or we can fight. He prefers peace, but he will fight if necessary. But Admiral, Thexal said, if we retreat now, the other species in the Dominion will see it as weakness. Our reputation will suffer. Our reputation is not worth the lives of thousands of crew members. Velthar looked at each of his officers. I have commanded fleets for 20 years. I have won many victories, but every one of those victories was won before the first shot was fired. We won because our enemies knew they could not defeat us. We won because they were wise enough to surrender. He gestured to the image of the Indomitable on the screen. Now we face an enemy who will not surrender. We face an enemy with more experience, better weapons, and stronger ships. Tell me, what is wise here? To attack and die, proving we were brave? Or to retreat and live to fight another day against enemies we can actually defeat? The young officer who had spoken earlier said quietly, but we came here to expand the Dominion, to claim this space. And we were wrong to come here, Velthar said. We made an error based on incomplete information. We thought the humans were weak. We were mistaken. Admitting a mistake is not weakness. Refusing to admit a mistake, that is weakness. That is how commanders get their crews killed, for nothing. Science Officer Krell's voice came through the communication channel. Admiral, I have one more piece of information. I researched the Indomitable specifically. This ship has a reputation among humans. It is famous for being nearly indestructible. Human military doctrine includes a saying about ships like this one. What saying? Old warships never die. They just get more dangerous. Velthar felt a strange sensation. Something like respect mixed with fear. He looked at the human warship on his screen. It was scarred and repaired. It had survived battles that should have destroyed it. Its crew had seen horrors the Kryn could not imagine. And yet here it sat, calm and ready, giving the Kryn a choice. Thexal, Velthar said. Send a message to all ships in the fleet. All vessels are to prepare for withdrawal. We are leaving this system. Several officers looked shocked. Thexal hesitated. Admiral, are you certain? Completely certain. We came here as explorers and acted like conquerors. That was our mistake. These humans deserve respect, not aggression. We will honor their space and depart. Yes, Admiral. Thexal began sending orders. Velthar activated his personal communication channel to the human ship. He spoke carefully, knowing his words would be translated and analyzed. Captain Dae Sung, I am Admiral Velthar of the Kryn Dominion. We acknowledge that we entered your space without permission. This was an error on our part. We did not understand the nature of human civilization when we arrived. Your information package has been very educational. We wish to correct our mistake. The Kryn Dominion fleet will withdraw from human space immediately. We mean no offense and seek no conflict. He paused, then added something personal. Your ship is impressive, Captain. It tells a story of survival and strength. In my culture, we honor those who endure. I honor your ship and your crew. Perhaps one day we will meet again under better circumstances. Velthar ended the transmission and waited. His crew worked efficiently, preparing the fleet for departure. Ships began moving into formation for the jump to hyperspace. It would take several minutes to coordinate 47 vessels. A response came from Captain Dae Sung. The human's face appeared on screen again. Admiral Velthar, we accept your decision to withdraw. We appreciate your respect for human sovereignty. We understand you made an honest mistake based on limited information. There is no dishonor in changing course when new information becomes available. That is wisdom, not weakness. The human captain paused, and something that might have been a smile crossed his face. Your fleet is well organized, and your ships are well maintained. You are clearly a professional officer. If circumstances were different, I think we could have had interesting discussions about tactics and strategy. Safe travels, Admiral. May your journeys be peaceful. The transmission ended. Velthar felt an unexpected emotion. Something like relief mixed with sadness. Relief that his crew would survive. Sadness that he would not get to know these humans better. Fleet reports ready for hyperspace jump. Thexal reported. Initiate jump sequence, Velthar ordered. One by one, the Kryn ships activated their hyperspace drives. Space bent and twisted around them. Then they vanished, leaving the dark void empty, except for one scarred human warship. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Dae Sung watched the alien fleet disappear from his sensors. Lieutenant Hana confirmed all ships had left the system. Commander Jun Woo reported all weapon systems standing down. Lieutenant Mayung noted that communications had ended peacefully. Well done, everyone, Dae Sung said. We achieved our objective without firing a shot. That is the best kind of victory. Commander Sumin, who had been monitoring from her station, asked quietly, Captain, do you think they will be back? Dae Sung considered the question. Not here. Not against us. but they will tell others about what they saw. Word will spread that humans are not easy prey. That is good. Maybe fewer species will make the same mistake these Kryn made. And if someone does, then we will do what we always do. We will show them who we are. We will give them a choice, and we will hope they choose wisely. 3 months later, human diplomats received an official transmission from the Kryn Dominion. The message was formal and respectful. The Kryn proposed establishing trade relations and cultural exchange programs. They expressed interest in learning about human history and philosophy. They requested permission to send scholars and scientists to human space. The message included a personal note from Admiral Velthar. He wrote about his encounter with the Indomitable. He described it as a learning experience that had changed Kryn military doctrine. The Dominion was now training their officers differently, teaching them to assess enemies more carefully before engaging. Velthar ended his note with an observation. The Indomitable stopped our fleet without firing a weapon. That required a combination of strength, wisdom, and restraint that impressed every member of my crew. We tell this story now throughout the Dominion. Your ship has become famous among us. It is known as the ship that stopped a fleet without firing. This is a compliment of the highest order. Captain Dae Sung, who had been promoted to admiral and given command of an entire battle group, read Velthar's message with quiet satisfaction. He forwarded it to the crew of the Indomitable, along with a personal message. You made our ship famous across alien space. You showed that humans can win through strength and wisdom, combined. You represented our species well. Be proud of what you accomplished. Not all victories require bloodshed. Sometimes the best victories are the ones where everyone lives to fight another day. The Indomitable continued its patrol duties, drifting through the darkness between stars. Its hull remained scarred and repaired. Its weapons remained ready. Its crew remained professional. And somewhere in distant space, alien species approaching human territory did so cautiously now. They had all heard the story. They had all learned the lesson. Their first glimpse at a human warship had made an alien fleet stop, and that story would be told for generations to come.